Hey y'all, I want to talk about the suspension of ESPN's TV host Stephen A. Smith and the role that women play in domestic violence. For those of you who don't know Stephen A., he's a host on a debate show called First Take. He recently made some comments while discussing the suspension and controversy of Ravens halfback Ray Rice. Now, First Take is a live show, and I was watching the show live when Stephen A. made his controversial comments. And while he was making his comment, I was waiting for him to say something of substance, but he didn't. Here's what he did say. "We keep talking about the guys. We know you have no business putting your hands on a woman. I don't know how many times I gotta reiterate that. But what I've tried to employ the female members of my family is that let's make sure we don't do anything to provoke wrong actions. I think just talking about what guys shouldn't do, we gotta also make sure that you can do your part to do whatever you can do to try to make sure it doesn't happen." So like I said earlier, when I first heard this, I thought nothing of it. There wasn't much substance here. I felt disappointed because I felt Stephen A. had an opportunity to speak some truth, but he didn't. We got the gist of what Stephen A. was trying to say, but since he was walking on eggshells, and he knew it, he didn't really come out and say it in plain English. He was dancing around the issue. So what was Stephen A. trying to say? He was trying to say that some women have at least some responsibility, if not all, for the violence against them. Some women provoke violence by initiating violence themselves. You can't expect to hit a man repeatedly and not suffer any consequences. You can't go in the jungle and keep poking a lion with a stick and expect to walk away with your face. You reap what you sow. Some men just do not have the patience nor the restraint to put up with a woman continuously abusing them. Under those circumstances, some men will lash out. Another way women can be responsible for violence against them is through verbal abuse. Sometimes you're with someone long enough to know what pisses them off. You know exactly what buttons to push, and some women use this information to their advantage. I've seen women get in a man's face and just verbally tear him apart. They'll emasculate him, point out all his shortcomings, and say anything that will spark an emotional reaction out of him. If it were a man acting this way, he'd get his ass whooped. But when it's a woman, fellas, you need to control yourself. You need to be an adult. You need to channel your inner Vulcan and just sit there and take it. Because when women act like immature children, they should not have to suffer the consequences. But when men do, you get whatever happens to you. Another thing society doesn't want to acknowledge is that not every woman is mentally stable. Not every woman is the sweet, innocent angel that they are portrayed to be in the media. Some women actually want to see men lash out at them physically. They want to know that the man they're with is actually a man willing to throw down if need be. You know, there's a saying from the country my family's from, a Western country, and it roughly translates as, "If he doesn't beat me, he doesn't love me." This is an actual mentality of some women in this country. I'll never understand it, but it exists nonetheless. I personally would never be in a relationship with a woman if she ever put her hands on me, nor would I want to be with someone that wanted me to hit them, unless it was in bed, of course. But I tend to abstain from relationships in general. In summary, I'll say this. Society knows the truth in regards to domestic violence. They know it's a two-way street, and they know it's not a black and white issue. But society chooses to ignore the facts, acknowledge the plight of some victims, and ignore the pain of others. Stephen A. Smith was trying to acknowledge some of these facts, and got dealt with for doing so. I would hate to see what would have happened to him if he had said even half the things I've said in this video. Let me know what y'all think. Later.